Good morning, everyone. Let me know if you can hear and see us today.
Hello.
Let us see what's going on here. So glad you guys came in a little bit early. That's great.
All right.
Welcome to Cornerstone
That's Clinton Green,
and us Sawyers.
Miss Kelly May, and
Before you start talking, let's see who's here.
okay.
There's Sissy and brother-in-law. Their first ones. Hey,
But
hey
before
y'all.
you start talking,
Yeah,
yeah,
before you start reading.
But you already,
Yeah, but I'm gonna let them come
but
up on
yeah,
the
but you
screen.
if you
Yeah.
still
Go ahead, do what you're gonna do. Do what you're gonna do.
okay.
James D's here. Sylvia.
See,
Sylvia. Dee Dee and George is here. CJ is here. I meant to text you yesterday. See that, CJ?
Brother Blue, good to see you.
Yeah. There's KK and Brother Blue and Brother Kessler. Hey, Brother K.
Brother Kessler.
Deb Rondo today. And John
Yeah,
Greason
Rondo.
is in the house. Let's Vern. Had you on my heart all day, Vern. Had you on my heart all day.
Vern.
Vern and Johnny. You guys still praying for them. I
We are.
do believe you guys are still praying for them, praying with them.
May.
Hey, Phyllis and Edward. Hey,
Okay.
Frenchie.
Yeah, you see her there?
Yeah, May Bolger, that's Frenchie.
Frenchie, good to see you, girl.
Jill.
Leslie,
Hey,
that's
Jill.
Leslie Lee.
You jumped right over Jill.
I
Hey,
did
Jill.
not. Jill right there. Yeah, Jill ain't going nowhere. She right there.
Hey, Leslie. And there's Kim.
Nice, Kim.
Thank you, KK. She
Renee,
says everything is clear.
KK, Renee
Hearing and
Buckingham.
saying fine. Good.
Phyllis May
Hello,
Edward.
Sandra. Let us know how Majara is doing, sweetie. Let us know.
Yeah,
And
please do. As Joe.
Leslie says it's beautiful weather in Pittsburgh, 70s.
It is.
It's very comfortable here, but it's rainy.
The leaves are everywhere.
Yeah, it's rainy today, but I love rainy days.
I do too.
And cloudy days. Yeah, so I'm
Make
happy.
you want to crawl up in the corner with your girlfriend. Oh, I got one thing here. Oh my God.
There's Joe. Hey, Joe. It's
Dr.
good to
Joe.
have you this morning. And Judy, my
Miss
sweetheart.
Judy.
Miss Judy. And Trina. Hey,
Oh,
baby.
Trina
Had
Lee.
you on my heart.
Yes.
And Sadie. Good morning. Good morning to you. Hey, Apostle Norman.
Norman J. Everett.
Apostle Norman.
Norman Rockwell.
Wow.
Sandra. Let's see. All of you shotgun riders out there this morning.
What you gonna preach this morning, Apostle Norman?
Uh-oh. I bet he got a good one.
You know it. Well, anywho, it's good to be with you guys.
Okay.
Glad you're with us today. And let's see. You know what you're gonna talk about today?
I'm ready.
Oh boy. Well, let's do our affirmation. Let's do that now. And I want you to center in and let's just go for it. Let's go for it. But before we do that, I want you to leave your mind outside. Suspend all your thoughts about what's going on in your life and what you'd like to happen and what has happened. Suspend all of that if you can, just for a little while. All thoughts about the past or your memories and who you think you are, what you want to be, and what you studied, and all of that. Let that go for a moment, just for a moment. Any thoughts about the future, how you'd like the future to go, and don't go to that place right now. Let's just leave that for a little while. Even right now, in this present moment, suspend all your thoughts about right now, how this moment should be. And just sit in this space. Sit in this space. Okay? And before we do the affirmation, I want to do this. You know the exercise that Pastor did a long time ago, and I've been sharing it for the last 2 sessions. Let's just do it. He says to touch your nose. Let's touch our nose. Touch your ear.
Touch your ear.
Touch your chin.
Touch your chin.
Touch your elbow
LB.
and then touch your knee.
Neely.
Now, I'd like for you to do that without using your hand. Just close your
Close your
eyes
I am now touching.
and touch your nose
Mm-hmm.
without your hand. Without your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Touch your ear.
Mm-hmm.
Touch your chin.
Mm-hmm.
Touch your elbow
Mm-hmm.
and touch your knee.
Touch your knee. Mm-hmm.
What you noticed when doing that is you are not your body.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to move to any place, anywhere, because you are only awareness. And because you are not limited to your body, there is no place you cannot be. So knowing that you cannot be touched, you cannot fade or disappear, you cannot be contaminated. So you are simply pure awareness, pure awareness. Now, I want you to say this with me, or say it, or listen to me as I say it. You can do either one. My heart opens when I see Christ in myself and as myself. I am awakening to this truth that sets me free by showing me that I am already free. I have looked for God and found myself. I have looked for myself and found God. My heart, which is the heart of God, is now open and exposed. I allow all beliefs, defenses, and accumulated knowledge to be suspended so that I can embody this truth. I lay down all beliefs about God. I lay down all beliefs about myself. I lay down all beliefs about others. The veil of my conditioning is being stripped away. And now the concept of myself is being removed. And there is a divine impartation of knowing. Knowing the truth is my point of recognition of what I am. I am the same essence as God. Seeing God within myself, I find that God is seeing himself. The awareness that I use to see God is the same awareness that God uses to see me. I am witnessing the uncovering of the self that I am. And so it is. And so it is. Now, you had something you wanted to say a minute ago. What was it?
Mm-hmm.
Have you forgotten? You did.
Oh, yeah. I know what it is.
You went off into our meditation, didn't you?
Yeah. when she told you to touch the different parts of the body with your finger or your hand, knee, nose, ear, chin, that is exactly in my classes that I use to teach people of what happened to Jesus when he was in the tomb. And it said in the book that he ascended, he also descended and preached to those that were in prison, which is in the esoteric meaning, is that he actually was speaking from his true identity toward those uh, that are locked up in their thoughts. Your thoughts can trap you into being in hell or heaven. But awareness is what he was. So when he went places, he did that. So my experience in teaching the class is I teach them how to operate in the spirit. And awareness is one of those ways. So if you wanted to travel from here to the Garden of Gethsemane back 2022 years ago, that is the apparatus that you would use. But what makes the difference is when you use it, is that now that you are no longer identifying yourself as the physical senses at this moment, you enter into that stage by hitting that switch like we just showed you, and you go back to the garden. You pick up anything in the scripture, that any book, the course, anything, you can actually go to the authors or the one who wrote the Course in Miracles and go exactly inside yourself through awareness to when they actually receive the information. For first of all, there is not anything that has been withheld from us in our eternal self. So if you wanted to use it, and I also found out that a lot of the evangelists and people who use the gifts of the Spirit, they use the same principle, but they won't tell you what they're doing. Some of them can't. Some of them, if you could have caught them when they were fresh in it, they could have told you. But after years go by, even a week, maybe in a day, they don't tell you about it because it is no longer something that they remember. It is that they have become that. And in being that, you have to understand that these guys, or those who operate in the supernatural or the spirit, or whatever you want to call it, they learn how to maneuver their consciousness or awareness around to where they can see into objects, people, places, and things. Now, to memorize something does not mean that you can apply it. We teach all these things about the mind is not us. Your real identity is your eternal self. Um, and we tell you that there's no one here but God. You can hear these things and not be able to apply them. A lot of people have asked some of the sages and some of the people who teach these things online, who we in our by ideologist self will look at them and try to apply it. But then we come back again asking questions about how do you get there? How do you do this? How do you make this happen? Now,
Well, while you're talking, that's where the word growth comes from.
Yeah, right. That's where it comes from.
When we talk about growth, it's because the limited self is always trying to get past its own limitations. And so the conditions that the smaller self has been under or in makes it feel powerless. So growth is trying to get past or getting past those limitations. So that's what that means. But in your actual authentic self, there are no obstacles to your authentic self because you are not limited to your physical existence. And so and nothing in the physical can touch that you are. Now, I know that sounds kind of ethereal. It sounds kind of abstract, but you are beyond being touched by anything that happens. So if events come up, those events are there for a purpose. And so they're not just happening or haphazard happenings. when it comes to you as the authentic self, to come into a full pure recognition, these events in your life are designed to wake you up to who you really are.
Mhm. Take out some of our teachers like Gunga G and Rupa and Muja, those people we see online,
Non-dual teachers. There's a
non-dual
non-dual
teachers.
teachers.
They are actually uh, had to experience this. A lot of them, unless they got a special gift of projection of their words out to where they can cause it through their presence to be a reality to you.
Mm-hmm,
But either way
mm-hmm.
you go, you are the eternal self. Now, let me slow down a little bit and try to get this out to you because uh, just finding out that you are not the thinker
Mm-hmm.
does not mean automatically that you understand or you are actually tasting it. You know what I'm
Or
saying is,
experiencing
or
it.
experiencing it.
Yes.
I can sit here and tell you to imagine a lemon in your hand, and you visualize it like we're talking about the touching the nose, the chin, and the ear. You can do this, and this is what is really meant by the walk of the spirit. But if you take, I could say, put a lemon in your hand now. Now that you got that, notice that when I say lemon, some of you are having a reaction in your uh, glands in your mouth and your memory of what a lemon
In
actually
your
tastes like.
actual body.
Yeah,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
what I just did when I said lemon, I got inside your subconscious mind just that quick.
Mm-hmm.
And the subconscious mind is the door, it is the key to invisible reality.
Now, I'm glad you said that because what we're talking about, even though it is actually true, what you said, you actuated or activated the
I like
subconscious
that.
mind.
Activated. Uh-huh.
However, the awareness of the being aware of something, we are constantly aware of something. Even if you visualize that lemon in your hand, you are aware of something being imagined. You are aware of a lemon being imagined. You are aware of making an image of a lemon or image arriving of a lemon. You are aware. So you are not that is trying to imagine it. You are that is aware. So the awareness is who you are. The awareness of being constantly aware. I won't say constantly, but recognizing constantly that you are awareness is actually awakening and enlightening. And
that's right.
yeah.
That's the mechanism that keeps a lot of people locked into memories. I give an example. When you go to a funeral, if you notice the people of the family that are on the front row in that section, some of them are broke down in tears and they all broke up. But the reason why they do that is because their subconscious mind is part of the black box. The black box in all of us is that mechanism they put in airplanes and trains and everything. But we're made under the same pattern that there's a place inside the subconscious area. It's a wall between left and right brain, is where all events of trauma, hurt, pain, disappointment, uh, false lies, deception, everything is stored in this box. And it's the record keeper. And then the Bible says the book of remembrance. Well, that's your book of remembrance right there. That's your book of remembrance. And I used to teach it a lot when we was in our classes in the brick and mortar. And you'd be sitting around, standing at the kitchen sink, washing something or cleaning your hands in the bathroom. And all of a sudden, this thought pops up from something that happened to you with your family. You start feeling sorrowful. Or let's say it another way. Every evening or every fourth or fifth of Christmas, the memory of someone that was in your life, deceased now, comes up and you're standing there crying. That's your black box coming open with the energy, the negative dark side of it. And you just, now that I'm telling you this, You don't do anything with it. You just recognize what it is.
Be aware
Of
of it. Being aware.
So we used to teach this in the classes.
Yeah. And Laverne, I remember, never forget this. Laverne said this, and it's always stuck with me. There's an anniversary. Every event has an anniversary. So it will replay in your
That's
mind.
the black box.
It will replay. And a lot of us don't know what to do with the replays.
That's right.
We get caught up in the replays.
And you get caught up looking at it.
And then the emotions
like
that
the
were
television,
there.
isn't it?
Yeah. And then the same emotions that were there in that event will rekindle, and you'll feel like it's just happened all over again.
Let's go back to the old 90s. Let's go back to the 50s R&B music. Let's go back to the time in your life when you were having a bad moment, or let's go back to a time snow was on the ground. As I call these things out, you ever notice when I call them out, pictures come up, feelings come up? If you're an auditory person, you'll hear the things. If you're a visionary person, you'll see it. And kinesthetically, you will feel it. Then another one, through your nose, you'll smell it. And through another one, you identify with the empathicness of it, or like a policeman coming up behind you with the light on and you thinking that it's going to get you, and you know you're within the limits of speed, but he bypassed you and go on to something else, and you feel that in your stomach. Or down your spine. If you look at television or something and you feel see a person going through surgery, and then you say, "Oh my God, I felt that in my knee. Oh, I felt that in my arm." That's your empathic self. That you can take all of the things we're talking about, if you want to crystallize it and culminate it into an experience. That can be the key to you operating in 1 Corinthians 12, the gifts of the Spirit.
Yeah, okay.
But now we're not into that right now, but I just wanted to share that with you because a lot of it was a old Socrates thing that said,
know thyself.
Know thyself. This is very important. Most of us, all of us, when we come into this sleeping finite world, before we came here, we were wide awake.
Now, Leslie, thank you, Leslie, for saying this. She says, my mom passed away 2 years ago yesterday. We are re-experiencing the moment.
There you go. That's your black box.
That's the replay. And what happens is the feelings and everything are still fresh. They come up as if they're fresh.
Yeah.
But what is happening is the mind or the subconscious is replaying it. And when it replays, you have a choice.
The recording room.
You then have a choice because you are that is aware of the replay. You are aware of the re-experiencing. You are aware of the emotions. You are aware of the anniversary. You're aware of the date that it happened.
The trees, the everything associated.
Yes. So being aware of, you can decide to just be aware and not be in it.
You can also call the black box your journal.
Oh gosh, it's a journal that's being written without you writing a word.
It's been impressed.
Yes.
Now, what is the clue to this?
Yes, it is your theme, your life journal, your theme.
That black box, compared to your super self or your mind of Christ self. Now, I need to tell you this. You are, as the mind, you don't get it. You don't grow in this. You are automatically this. This is your deliverance. Your deliverance from these things is finding out, please hear me, finding out the eternal truth, your infinite identity, right here in the present moment, inside, outside your eternal essence. I'm going to tell you, if you don't go this way to find out who you are, and you must go the distance.
And you know, I wrote this down on last night.
Go the distance by removing the distance between you and God. Okay, go ahead.
By recognizing there is no difference.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Now, if I'm awareness and I'm consciously aware, of a thing. Like Leslie's consciously aware that
I feel you shouting too,
yesterday,
Leslie. Go ahead.
you're
Mm-hmm.
consciously aware that yesterday your mom passed.
Mm-hmm.
That means I am conscious of that. I am consciously aware and turning my attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, my five senses declare that it's true. But it is not true. I'll give you an
Mm-hmm.
example. It is not true that it's happening now, even
Mm-hmm.
though it feels like it
Mm-hmm.
in your emotions. It is not true
Mm-hmm.
that it's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
It is simply a replay. Now, this is the thing. You remember, I don't know if you all have heard about how scientists have said that the stars are billions of light years away.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see a star in the sky, that star probably burned out billions of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but you're seeing it now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not real what you see.
Mm-hmm.
That star is already dark.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that came to me last night. So if I am pure infinite consciousness, I am always aware of everything. Therefore, I must be awareness itself. And if I'm awareness itself, I am constantly experiencing what is in front of me or what appears in front of me. And I remember what Rupert Spira says, the illusion, such as the star that appears to be shining, that's an illusion because it's burned out billions of years ago. But the illusion will always appear. What goes away is my ignorance of that being real.
Here's the question. I heard it asked. Who told you coming into this world that all these thoughts were you, the real you?
Yeah.
Nobody told you that. All you just said was, I think, I thought, well, I knew, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody ever told you what we are, the guys. I mean, the whole area of non-duality. We are telling you by the grace of our infinite identity. Oh, do I sense that when I just talk about it? I just talk about it. Who told you that you were the thoughts and the feelings? But then here come somebody said, you are not them. And yet all of a sudden when they say you are not them, the thoughts get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's done become solidified.
You know why? Because when they say you're not them, the mind automatically, your attention automatically turns to them.
Look out now.
Like if I say don't visualize a pink elephant, the first thing you did was visualize a pink
This
elephant.
is the walk of the spirit. What we're talking to you, this is what the Bible tells you, that some of them don't explain it to you. And we go along with the brick and mortar and everything. The preacher itself standing up there in front of you, half of them, 99, 80, 99%, half of them don't know that the thought that are coming to them may not be them, even though it seems like it may be memories of scriptures and events. This discernment that we're talking about comes from experience and being able to ask questions like some of you been doing.
Yeah. So now if I were standing out in the yard with you and I said, and you looked up and said, oh, look at that pretty star, I would say, that star is dark. It's no longer shining.
Mm-hmm.
Being a being of senses,
Mm-hmm.
a sentient being,
Mm-hmm.
what I see, I believe is real.
Mm.
And you would say, no, it's shining. It's shining.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, in reality, it is not there. It is not there.
Now, I have been standing in front of people, and some of you guys have seen it over the years, and also down in one in a college and school I went to back down in Lois, my mentor would hear me say, "I'm in somebody's mouth." And I can see, and they don't tell me.
I remember you always said that.
Yeah, and I've been Hank Reynolds' church.
Hank Reynolds said, "Get out of there, boy! Get out of there!" Boy, get out of there.
I said, I'm in your mouth. And in the back of your mouth, I just saw on the bottom level of the back of your teeth, your wisdom tooth has been removed. And I see another one back there on the opposite side that's giving you trouble. Matter of fact, you had it so strong that you had trouble sleeping last night. That is the way, that is what is used. Now, what gets me about this? There are some teachers that have taught us absolutely thoroughly about non-duality, and some of us catch it, some don't. But I am going to witness to you that since I found out this eternal truth of who I am, these functions have heightened themselves in our life to where we don't have to go back and use these things as buffers, or you might say tags, that some of these guys catch on to what we're talking about this morning and use them to make money off of, or to draw the crowds into their services. And some of them find out how to manipulate the black box in other people. And I was told this now by some of the pioneers and the evangelicals. They told me that if I go to teaching and preaching this stuff in the churches where people don't want to hear this, he said they will blackball you. And I could understand that, but I've been around, I'm telling you, sweetheart, I've been around those in services where the teacher was teaching from the finite self, or the book in ink and mortar, and a guy sitting on a keyboard was, I could look at him and tell that he had woke up to his true self in union with Christ, and there was, in the atmosphere around both of them, there was a conflict of interest.
Yeah, there was it's like a war.
It's like Jesus. Yeah, it's like Jesus asking Peter, "Who do men say that I am?" And Jesus, Jesus told him, "Flesh and blood had not revealed unto him that what Peter saw was the truth, and the flesh and blood didn't reveal it." The same principle, when Jesus said flesh and blood hadn't revealed it, there's a part of you. Now, I want you to hear this. When I was in the council room and I looked down at the bottom of those chairs, the chairs were not pulled back. They were sitting under the table. I could see through the table, down through the top of the table, standing way back at the entrance with my angel. I could see down to the top of the table the energy of who it was that was sitting in all those chairs around the council table. When I got home and I was walking around and when we lived in Winston, I was walking in the room and I kept asking over and over again. It kept asking, who was sitting in those chairs? Who was sitting in those chairs? I didn't know that the question that was being asked inside of me was the Spirit of God asking himself a question to bring forth a perfect answer. And he did. He said, go in your Bible and look of the table of content. He said, start reading. I started looking down at Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Ecclesiastes, all in the names of the book.
Anyway.
But anyway, here's what happened. And when I was reading that, I was taken back through the same principle of touching your knee and your nose. I went back into the actual events that took place in that council room, and I saw the light energy in the seat of who it was that was sitting in those chairs. That was Mary, Martha, and every patriarch of the Bible in the table of contents, and even some people that were sitting around the council table that we never heard of on earth was sitting there. And then all of a sudden I looked up to the wall, and what had happened was these people that were sitting in this eternal life chair at the eternal table, I saw them mirage themselves back into the wall like they were behind a curtain. I could see them, and every time I read a name out of the table of contents, they would come forward. This is the same thing that is used when you see people who can tell of a loved one or somebody on the other side. I've been standing in front of people and see the actual loved one that's been deceased for years walk up behind people. And let me tell you something else. I'm going to secure you. We've been taught in the church that if anybody do any of these things that we talk about now, it was the dark world, it was Satan, it was not of God. And yet in the Bible, they read where Jesus actually did things like this. And then when you bring it out in front of it, they can't handle it. And that's because they've been conditioned from their black box to believe and say it is not of God.
Now,
God is in everything. Go ahead.
Now, Leslie, thank you for saying what she's saying about, a
What's
moment
she saying?
ago, she said yesterday was the day her mom passed, and she's experiencing the replay. But she said she's choosing, which is good. She is choosing to put her attention on the family get together, honoring her dad's parents on the land dad grew up on. She said, I took dad and he was so happy he didn't feel his butt sores. Good,
Yeah,
Leslie.
I know what you're talking about. You talked to me about it, Leslie. I know.
So yes, sweetheart, what you did was redirect your attention.
The same way you showed them.
And when you redirected your attention, all of a sudden the negative emotions, while you may still feel a sense of sadness for the loss of your mom, there won't be the suffering that a lot of them have.
You got it.
And so you have done well to redirect your attention. This is what we're saying. As awareness, you have the power to redirect your attention in every case. Now, sometimes you are so caught up in the case. They say there are two responses in life that we have, fight or flight. But I want to add, there's a third response, and that is yield and redirect. Yield and redirect. Because when something comes up, our first response is to fight or run. And if we remain true to ourselves, we can yield and redirect. Now that's good, Leslie. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sinette says, what about manifesting among endless possibilities? Let it go or get a clear picture of the now being visible now, of it being visible now. Yeah. Yes, manifestation is important to us as physical sentient beings. And we are always trying to figure out how to make it work.
Okay. There will come a time when the doer and the desire to want to find out who's doing it
and how
to do it will take the back seat as you move further in awareness. And this is all a grace of your eternal self coming to the forefront of consciousness. Is consciousness. Eventually, the stress, I'm talking out of these feeling pictures that I have. The stress of desire to want to understand, and the question you just asked, that's coming from seem like it's coming from just a thought that come up, but it's not. As you discern your thoughts, you'll find out that God, your eternal self, asks the question. The perfect question always comes from the perfect self. I used to think there was no perfect self until we left our bodies, died, and went home, and that there's no one perfect but God. But then I kept hearing, I said, I can't figure this thing out. I can't understand it. And here I am. God is in me. I'm one with him. And yet I still feel like I'm imperfect. So I found out what we just telling you, attention. Now, these questions, when you come up with certain questions, you can tell in it that there's a judgment there.
Yeah. So what we're also talking about, thank you, Sissy, for typing that in. Everybody should type that in. Remain true to who you are and redirect your attention. Remain as awareness and redirect your attention. And what we're really talking about is imagination versus our perceived reality versus what is truly true, real, or really true. We have a perceived reality, and Rupert Spira has a video that he just put out not long ago that says the world is not what you see, it is the way you see.
Okay.
It's the way you see.
And if you're operating in a short circuit thinking, closed mind, that's where your black box will operate from.
Where
Now,
your attention goes. And if you don't practice redirecting your attention.
all right, here's a good one. We often say and hear people say, I know who I am. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I'm not. Oh, I know I'm born of God. I know I'm filled with the Spirit.
We say that real easy,
Yeah.
Until somebody makes us mad.
Yep.
Or somebody does something against us that hurts us. It's easy to say that then.
Yep.
But when the stuff hits the fan, it's not that easy to say.
Here it is. Finding your true identity. You're not going to find it except the eternal truth self reveals it to you. Okay, hold on to this now. There's some things there's something, let me tell you something. I found out that I kept went to this place where, why am I holding on to this so?
Oh,
why am I holding on to this? Why am I attached? Why do I feel like I'm hooked up into this thing? This thing happened 4, 5, 20,000 years ago, and
we still
over and over again.
And we think we can't let it go, but we can. If you stopped your toe when you were 5, you're not still holding that when you're 50.
Who is doing that?
But some things are so hurtful, we feel like we got to hold them. And we choose to hold them. Now, Sandra mentioned this, and what Leslie did was redirect all of it to something more positive. Sandra has transcended. Now, listen, she said, my mom died in 2014. Somewhere along the line, I stopped thinking about the anniversary of her death, and I don't even celebrate it, but it comes up, and other family members that bring it to my attention, but it doesn't affect me anymore.
Oh,
I am at peace.
Listen to this. Family reunions. Going to the gravesite.
Now that's transcendence, isn't it? Because she's not having to redirect. She's no longer thinking.
Okay, here we go. They just tore down our very ancient historical high school building. They still celebrate every year the 12th graders and the 6th graders and all that stuff, and we go to these reunions and we see everybody, and all of a sudden say, who's that on that? He don't look like he used to. Is that him? Is that her? I've had it said to me, they asked about you, Sawyer. You didn't come to the reunion. I said, listen to this. There is no you to reunion with. There is no you of the past who went to this school. But then you might ask the question, why is it that we're drawn into it? That's the clue that we're trying to get across to you, is that a lot of people lose the memories of it and let it go, but there are others of seem to be trapped in it.
Now, I've just realized this, and I'm going to use ourselves as an example. Well, maybe I'll do that later. What I'm thinking about is when we're unable to let go, it's because there is a deep attachment. There's nothing wrong with being attached to a person that you lost. I see. But a person that you lost leaves you with a void. And I remember when babies are real small, toddlers particularly, when they get a toy that they consider that they really like, they will hold on to that toy. Some of them call them woobies. Some of them are woobies. My Shelly, my niece, we had a flannel pillowcase, and Shelly loved that flannel pillowcase. It was her whoopee. She had to have it everywhere, every place she went. She had to have that flannel pillowcase. I remember her friend, had one was the little dog she had, and it
Mhm.
was in tatters and
Mhm.
strings and
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
Kimi,
Mhm.
Moo Moo. It was Moo
Mhm.
Moo.
Moo moo.
Moo
Mhm.
Moo. And we had gone to South Carolina, which is about 5 or 6 hours from us, and we're on our way back home, almost at home, and Moo Moo was left in South Carolina. And her
Mhm.
mom and dad had to go all the way back down there and get Moo Moo because she was hysterical. What I'm saying is her attachment to that, Shelly's attachment to that flannel pillowcase, your attachment to your loved one that you lost gave you identity. It gave you identity. And when that void is there and they're no longer in your life, your attachment is saying, this is who I am. This is me. And when they're gone, you no longer who you know who you
Mhm.
are. And so that's where the suffering comes in because you no longer know who you are based on that attachment. So now letting go is actually coming to a place of realizing that that is not who you are.
That's right.
That was an aspect of your life, but that is not who you are.
Here's a comfort to you. I was standing watching Jesus, and questions came up. But at the moment I saw him, there's one thing I know that when you see your true self, there's a place down through the front of your solar plex that actually loosens and
Mhm. And
relaxes.
that's what
Just
that's what
spirit.
Sandra's talking
Yeah.
about. Yes. Yes.
When you're in the place of full awareness or moving into that area, that stress, like this paper towel here, that stress is tight because the question comes up.
You're tightly holding on
Yeah. But as you move further in to your true
to
identity,
letting go.
it automatically let go. What I'm saying is that what causes that tightness to you to experience it is the false self is doing that.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
once you give up, see, I'm trying to say a whole lot in a few words.
I know, and it's
Yeah,
hard to put it in
yeah,
words.
we're trying to, this that I know over the years, when I was standing in front of Jesus, a question was asked of him. He didn't open his mouth, he didn't move his jaw, he didn't stop looking at me. He said, by the picture on the wall that somebody drew of him, he was standing right there looking at it. And I turned and looked at the picture, and I thought maybe if I turned back and looked where he was standing, that maybe my imagination was bringing him up like this because we've been conditioned to believe that he looked a certain way back in his day. But when I turned back and looked at him, he was still standing there. So I deliberately got my attention off of him. Here you go. Here we go. I got my awareness off of him and went to the picture on the wall. I found out, long story short, I found out that when God gets ready, your true self gets ready to bring something to you in consciousness, it is a perfect experience.
Yes.
And the answer that comes through it don't necessarily have to come a certain way, but when it does come, you'll know it. I've heard people say, I've never met Jesus, never believed in him, and they had near-death experiences on the other side, and they saw him. They said the light that came to them, they knew in themselves that it was not a dark entity, that it was really the Christ.
Yeah.
That truth is what we made out of.
It is. It is. And now go back to the attachments for a minute because
Mm-hmm.
I just had this epiphany while we were
Mm-hmm.
talking.
Mm-hmm.
If my mother and my father are now gone in the physical
Mm-hmm.
because they never really die, but if their physical bodies are gone, I am no longer a daughter.
Okay.
If my husband passes, I am no longer a wife.
That's true.
If my child passes, I am no longer a mother.
Mm.
So I'm saying this, that these are the attachments
Wow, I
that
hear
we've
that.
had. And we believed we were that. I remember, like, go back to the little toddler again. when a baby has something that it's attached to, and you try to take it away from, it'll say mine, mine, and scream.
Yeah. But
and
the
fight
dog would do the same
and
thing.
fight you.
Yeah.
Mine, because it has identified that
Yep.
this is who I
Yep.
am. So
Now.
our attachments are letting us know who we, even if you lost a job, you are no longer whatever your title was on that. That's not what you are anymore. So you lost an identity that you believed yourself to be. And that's where the suffering comes up, because you don't want to let go of that identity that you had been living as.
The opposite reveals the opposite. Light reveals darkness, darkness reveals light. When you find out how to use darkness or allow darkness to reveal to you light, darkness become an asset and not a liability. Everything becomes an asset and not a liability. Miss Trina, it becomes an asset and not a liability. For what you taught me about and that you're dealing with, you are in a good position on your light side, seeing the dark side at the food. But look at it. Look at it. Look at here.
But it is, I have to say this, and I've said it so many times, and I want to say it, I want to say it again, not to make light of anything that you have gone through, but everything that has happened to you that appears to be negative and hurtful, it has been designed specifically for you to wake up to something about yourself that you have ignored, not noticed, not seen, something blind that you've been blind to about your own behavior, your own beliefs, your own aspirations, things that you are not really aware of doing or being. And so when they come up, if they repeat, if it's happened more than once, you are not seeing the message in it of what is going on in you that's recreating that situation.
All right. Now here's the way to stop it. If you don't stop it, what is it that make me wants to stop it? What if I told you it's not real? Okay, I'm just using words. But that is something that has to be revelatorialized, revealed to you from within or in the God kind of way. Here's a clue to it. When I went over into the sixth chapter, let's just say the fifth chapter of Galatians, here's what it says. In the 22nd verse, it said that now this is, we've always been taught this, Miss Trina, and you know it, and some of the rest of you. But the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith.
Godness is
godness, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ, who know they true self, have crucified. Just knowing this, and going through the experience of it, they that have crucified the flesh with the affection. So when we say crucify the flesh, all right, watch this. We want to crucify the flesh. I'm going to stay away from television. I'm going to stay away from this.
But it also said with the affections. I'm affectionately attached to certain things.
And here's another one. Allow the affections of your true self to love itself through your dark self.
Now, like, I wanted to use us as an example. I said that a minute ago, and I wanted to go back to that. Pastor and I are in this house. We've lived in this house almost 30 years. Right?
30 years.
And 12 years ago, we had to declare bankruptcy.
That's true.
And when we did, we had an equity loan that we no longer paid for because we were upside down in our house. So we've not paid for that equity loan since. It's still a lien on the house. The house is now no longer underwater.
That's right.
And so now we're faced with the fact that eventually the bank could say, I want my money.
Yeah.
And that means we would have to walk away and lose all equity in our house or whatever.
That'd been over 20 years
We've
ago.
been dealing with,
Mhm.
should we sell, because it's a great time to sell,
Mhm.
but it's not a great time to buy.
That's right.
And so, and then we came to the conclusion, we don't want to move.
That's true.
Not because
We
we
like
don't, not because we don't like to move, but
Mhm.
we're in a perfect neighborhood, perfect as much as you can be. It's like a park.
Mhm.
We're in our home is comfortable to us. It's very comfortable. It's like our sanctuary.
Mhm.
And so we know logically we should probably sell.
Mhm.
But the attachment,
Yep.
the attachment.
And we have seen some of the most amazing events take place with our neighbors and people around us.
And God has blessed us to keep this
Yeah.
house up.
Yeah.
And to continue with it, even use some of you guys
Yeah.
to bless us enough to be able to
keep it
and
Yeah.
do things that we need to do.
It's your Christ self
Yeah.
that has been used to help the Christ over here financially keep us going in this house.
Yeah. So now that goes back to, that reminds me of what Sinette said a moment ago when she says, what about manifesting among endless possibilities? Let it go, or get a clear picture of the now being visible. So that's where we've been, because of this strong attachment. It's like we don't want to make a decision.
Yeah.
And so we're just being very transparent with you that we are in your shoes. We're in your shoes. So we understand what it feels like to have these strong attachments and not seemingly be able to let it go. Just let it go.
And look, between the age that I am now, I'm in my 75th year anniversary of my birthday. Here's a good one, and y'all heard me talk about it. When I was little, down the street, one of our play buddies and his sisters, they had a birthday coming up for him, and his mama fixed him a cake, and she brought slices of cake out there to all of us who played and knew him. And people just come around their house, and just had a birthday party. And I said, why can't I have people come to my birthday party like that? So what I did, I went home, and my aunt fixed me a pretty one of them good old chocolate covered with Hershey chocolate cake. I sat in the kitchen and watched her put it together, and then took my finger around the edge of the plate and got the warm Hershey chocolate. And I looked around and I said,
and that was made with real chocolate.
Yeah, real chocolate. Not that store-bought stuff. Hey, and she made that chocolate. And I sat there and was waiting for people to come to my house to help celebrate my birthday like they did with my friend down the street. Well, I did have people come in, but they didn't come in to celebrate my birthday. Matter of fact, they came in to eat up my birthday cake, and they were nothing but moonshiners. Now, I'm saying that to you because the memory of it has been stuck. Lordy. Sweetheart, this that you guys have been in with the Course of Miracles, the Bible, I don't care what book you use. The clue to this thing is that you all are waking now. The waking self is far advanced beyond the sleeping self. We know now who we are. The fruits of the Spirit is not something you get. It is who you've always been.
So when you're being stripped of attachments,
that's breaking the umbilical cords.
You will feel the pain of that.
Something does.
And the pain of having to let it go.
Because
you have strongly identified with it. But when when you really let it go, there will be a freedom.
Yep.
A freedom.
You know how I know that I'm delivered from alcohol? I got a collection of practically everything in the book that I used to drink in my cabinet. I didn't get it to drink. I got it to show to my conditioned self that I am free from it.
And you're no longer bound by it. Yes.
I can have people come in. I was raised where people preach the Bible drunk. And they didn't do it till the lid come open. I don't have to have a lid at all to come open or close. It's right there in the
So
kitchen.
now it's evidence that you have transcended.
I transcended.
Mhm,
That's the experience.
mhm,
Now, don't force it. Breathe.
mhm.
Watch how the eternal God's identity will reveal to you from these classes the victory that you're
Yeah.
already walking into.
So don't fight it. Don't fight what's going on. Don't hide. Don't run. Don't be resentful. Begin to say thank you for exposing my egotistical
Mm-hmm.
beliefs. Thank you for exposing those dark areas of me that I haven't been aware of. Then I can let them go now. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then forgive yourself for being so attached.
Remember this. Because it's a cloudy day and winds and tornado storms are going on around you, in the midst of the eye of that storm, there's peace. And remember this, the sun don't ever stop shining because the cloud is covering it up.
Yeah. And that's another example of like the star.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can look at the clouds and think there is no longer a sun.
Yeah.
But in actuality, there is a sun. What your eyes tell you is not true.
Hey, my buddy just walked up. Baby girl, you can see the top of her head. She want me to scratch her chin. You know it's about time for us to go.
Now they're giving us some comments, and they're saying happy birthday to
To me?
no, to Dee Dee's mama, who's turning 80
Oh,
tomorrow.
wow.
Yeah, they're saying happy birthday to her.
Well, my birthday is in this month, and I'm already celebrating.
Yeah, in a few weeks. And in fact, I am planning a Zoom. I want to ask you guys before I go off, would you rather have a Zoom on Sunday morning or would you rather have a Zoom on Tuesday? And I'm saying that because some of us watch these lives in our pajamas.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Let me know. Type it in. Judy Jew says, your words landed deeply for me today. So well said. You were speaking to me. Thank you. I heard you. I love you for helping me love myself. Oh, Judy. I would love to have you right here where I could hug your neck, sweetheart.
Wish we could reach out physically and
just
love you and hug you and squeeze you to the juice of God. Just drip
and hey, Olivia. Hey, sweetheart. I'm glad you're here.
I hadn't heard from her in a while. Good to see you.
Sister Chris says thanks for the teaching today. Thank you, darling.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Sanette.
And remember, you guys, it's because of you guys that we are still going. And let me rephrase that. It's because of the Spirit of God, the God identity, and you guys that's keeping us financially going. And we thank you for everything, the energy, even if you don't send anything, just the fact of knowing that you are involved with us in this union of oneness. And we thank everybody for this.
Yeah. And so they're saying they'd rather have it on a Sunday. Some say either is fine. So I don't know which way I'm leaning. But it'll probably be Sunday. It'll probably be the 20th. Look for the email. I will send you an email to remind you guys of that. And I think I'm going to make it a registration. And I will put a link on Facebook and a link on YouTube as well. I think I can do that. So just stay on the lookout for it. And it'll be coming forth very, very soon. Okay,
we will come back to this subject if possible on Tuesday in our 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be this subject. Well, we're always on the same subject though.
But we'll try to bring out something to you, but effortless try, no struggle. But whatever the case is, we'll bring it forth. Thank you, Ms. Leslie. You've been faithful to us, and some of the rest of you. Every month you send something to help us out, and we really appreciate you guys.
Hey, Vincent in California. I didn't know you were there, young man. You were quiet today. I'm glad you're with us, though. And yes, Sissy, thank you. Great words. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. We're going to take off here. Don't forget to give and like and share. Let me just put that up there because you guys always know, you can hit like and share, or you can just hit like if you want. You don't have to share. But if you like it, hit the like button.
Yeah, please
push us up the algorithm so Facebook will think we're worthy of being found, and YouTube will think we're worthy of being found.
Establishing the identity of Christ in the earth. Thank you.
You said that's a clue.
Huh?
You said that's the clue?
Yeah, just a clue to it. Jesus Christ, or whatever you want to call him. It's okay. It don't matter. He knows who you're talking to.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are just what the doctor ordered.
Oh my God.
Bless your
Look,
heart.
you guys, if you want to bless Pastor and myself, you can use
Yes.
$ A Sawyer C.
Yes.
Of course, you guys who've been with us for a while, you know that. And thank you for all of your gifts and love that you've been sending us. Thank you so much. And if you
Baby girl.
need to do your tithes or your offering to the church, which is still a virtual church and has its own expenses. By the way, there are subscriptions that are coming up the first of the year for platforms that we use. There are insurances, bank fees, software updates we have to get, all kinds of stuff that the church itself has expenses for. So while we don't have a building, there are still expenses.
This house is our building.
While we don't have a building for church, there are still expenses that the church has. So please continue with your giving to the church, which is your tithes and your offerings. And of course, you can do that simply by going to the website, the Cornerstone Life Center, or you can use a text to CLC Greensboro to 73256. Or you can do paypal.me/cornerstone35. And if you don't want to do either of those, you can just mail it to P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro,
Yes.
North Carolina,
Yes.
27416. And look, if you want to bless Pastor for his birthday, I would like for all of you to give him at least $75. If you can afford it, I'm not mandating anything. But if you can afford it, I would love to bless him for his birthday. Give him $75. But don't do it until we do our Zoom, okay? That way we'll know exactly this for him. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. And we'll be back at Tuesday at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.